On a seemingly very ordinary day in South Korea, people are going about their business. A group is watching a strange video from a newly established religion called The New Truth, talking about how people are told when they will die and executors from hell will arrive to claim you on that day. Close by, a man sits alone, looking very anxious and always checking the time. The clock strikes 1:20, yet nothing happened. But suddenly 3 monstrous beasts charged in and attacked the man. The man tries to flee, but the executors catch him and mercilessly beat him up before incinerating him completely and disappearing. Shortly after, the police did a briefing about the incident, and Detective Kyung-hun was assigned to interview members of the New Truth. They drive to the crime scene and finds the group having a seminar where Chairman Jung is showing victims of the executors worldwide where their crimes were found out shortly after their judgment. Afterwards, Detective Kyung-hun sees his daughter Hee-jung as one of the volunteers, and he asked about why she isn't in school, but she just dismissed him. The two then talked with Chairman Jung on his way home, and he mentioned that he grew up in an orphanage and planned to end his life once he gets out at 20 years old. So he went to Tibet to be as far away as possible from everyone he knows, but that's where he witnessed his first demonstration, which gave him a renewed purpose, which is to make people repent through fear of the executors and live righteously. The detective doesn't agree since it won't be genuine repentance if you do it out of fear of damnation, and that this God doesn't believe in free will. Jung then mentioned that he heard from Hee-jung that Kyung-hun's wife was murdered, but the murderer was released. He spoke of man-made laws are not true justice. Later that night, Kyung-hun looks more into Chairman Jung's New Truth and the more radical militant group Arrowhead, which branched off it. The Arrowhead's leader reaches his followers through social media where he condemns police for investigating God. He also urged his followers to dig up the latest victims' sins and to attack a prominent novelist for his opposing views. His followers did gang up on the novelist and a few of the culprits got arrested. But the problem is that all of them are minors with untouchable and cocky attitudes. A lady is packing up shop and makes her way home where she is surprised by her 2 children. But out of nowhere, an apparition appears and tells her she is bound for hell in 4 days. She was extremely shaken by this, and has no choice but to turn to Chairman Jung and the New Truth for help. Chairman Jung offered Jungja a massive sum of 3 billion won or around $2.2 million to have the demonstration televised. As heartbroken as she was, she still sought the help of attorney Min to draft up the legalities and to protect her children's identities after the fact. Min was hesitant at first, but her boss assured her that it's all fantasy and believes it's not going to happen. Plus, Jungja's children would need the money once they're on their own. Min has always been critical and skeptical of Chairman Jung and the New Truth and thinks they're a cult, so she got the detectives involved in the legal dealings. They settled the payment then and there while the children play in the other room. Then Jung got curious and asked about the kids, where he learns that Jungja is a single mom and the kids were from different fathers. Jung kept pressing her, asking if the fathers were married men, intending to expose her sin and make sense on why she was chosen to be hellbound. Suddenly the eldest kid burst out, furious at Jung for his accusations and claiming his mother took care of them and did nothing to deserve this. On their way out, the chairman was notified that the stage for the demonstration is good to go. Attorney Min plans to send Jungja's kids to Canada to hide for a while until this whole thing blows over. Kyung-hun calls Hee-jun since she's not at home yet, and she lied and tells him she's at her friend's place to study. She's actually at Chairman Jung's apartment where she confessed that it was her fault that her mother died. When she was young, she got distracted and forgot to deliver her father's things, which made her mother do it instead and got murdered. Jung took Hee-jun to the murderer's house and asks if she's ready. She stealthily took down the criminal and they took him to an incinerator. Jung tells Hee-jun that people always need hard proof, otherwise they won't believe in his cause. So they burned the man and made it look like the executors did it, and the media ate it all up. The police chief tells Kyung-hun what happened, and this opened up the painful memory. And while he feels a little conflicted, Hee-jun definitely doesn't. Unfortunately for them all, Detective Kyung-hun's partner Hong is actually a hardcore Arrowhead fanatic, and he leaked Jungja's information, including her children, in the Arrowhead chat room. Min calls Kyung-hun in a panic and tells him what's going on, so they both race to secure Jungja's family. Meanwhile, the Arrowhead leader is urging his fanatics to get involved and capture the sinner. It was a suspenseful journey with no one to trust, but they reached the airport safely and the kids were able to board. The day of the demonstration is at hand. Min and her boss couldn't believe that all the major TV stations will broadcast the event. Kyung-hun is still trying to reach Heejin, but then their station got raided by Arrowheads, blindly believing they're doing God's work. But soon enough the stage is set, the cameras are rolled in and Jungja is led inside. As the New Truth billionaire patrons take their seats and the crowd settled, Jungja anxiously awaits her fate. And so the countdown ended with a dreaded calm. But suddenly a cracking sound heralded the arrival of the executors, and they waste no time in attacking Jungja. The police are powerless against the supernatural, and Hong is enjoying every second of it. The executors finished their work on the poor mother and retreated. Faced with undeniable evidence, everyone has no choice but to accept this new reality. The aftermath of the event significantly changed society as they know it. Chairman Jung became the most influential person overnight and did an interview. He repeatedly condemned everyone for not listening to his warnings for a decade. But before he finished, he moved the camera to the side where Heejing's black jumper hangs, and Kyung-hun immediately recognized it from the CCTV footage. Meanwhile, the Arrowheads are having a field day. As he drowns in vindication, the leader directed his fury at the non-believers, Min and her boss. He also pointed out Kyung-hun as he dared defy God. Min hurriedly packs up with her terminally sick mother, but notices a letter from a strange organization. She drives back to her office to look for her boss, but finds the whole place trashed. She tries calling him and learns that he's been attacked by the Arrowheads and tells her to escape as soon as she can. But she was too late as the juvenile Arrowhead gang descended upon Min and her mother. She takes her to the hospital, but she has already died from her injuries. An enraged Kyung-hun stormed Chairman Jung's apartment but couldn't find him or the black jumper there. He was then attacked by the angry fanatic mob but was saved when Jung called him and asked the crowd to let the detective pass. Jung tells Kyung-hun to meet with him if he wants to find Heejing. The detective drives to the location and it was Jung's old orphanage, now lay abandoned. He eventually finds him and he has something very important to say. Meanwhile, Min drives out to meet with the pastor of the future church who sent her the letter. Pastor Kim welcomes her and shows her an interview he did with Chairman Jung recently. In it he confessed that he received a prophecy 20 years ago. Jung then devoted his life into finding similar cases and finding a way to get out of it. He told Kyung-hun that he committed no crimes because he strongly believed that if he stayed a good boy, that his mother would return to be with him again. This led him to the conclusion that the demonstrations are completely random events, but he can't come out to the public with that information or else start a mass panic, so he framed it as God's work to give it meaning. Ever since then, he's been living in constant fear of committing sins. He wanted to use this fear to set society straight and to force them to live righteously. Min requested a copy of the interview, but Kim deleted it. Apparently, he made a deal with Jung where Kim will be the new chairman of the New Truth, but in exchange, he needs to dispose of Min. Kim got the Arrowheads to do the dirty work for him. Jung then finally tells Kyung-hun that his judgment is today, and the executors will be coming for him any second now, and that Heejing is already at home waiting for him. But he also gave him a final choice: film his demonstration and destroy all his work so far, or keep it a secret and enjoy the new world he has built. Kyung-hun went with the latter, and watched as the executors pummeled and burned Jung. Leaving nothing but his charred remains, he went home where he was greeted by Heejing, the two of them forming a deeper understanding of each other. Fast forward to the near future, and society has changed drastically. The New Truth, under the leadership of Pastor Kim, has weaponized Chairman Jung's words and has risen to power. They even turned Jungja's execution spot into a museum of previous executions. They produced a commercial showcasing their gospel and even showing terrible content like children confessing on behalf of their father's sins, and showed even those who killed themselves before their judgment were still taken by the executors and could not escape. To further assert his power, the pastor is urging everyone who received the Hellbound decree to publicly confess their sins. TV producer Jung is reviewing the commercial with the New Truth deacons, and they are as arrogant as they come. Deacon Ug in particular wanted to change a few things in the footage and to show less emotion from the sinners so people won't pity them, but Jung dismissed him. In the end, his boss intervened and agreed to the changes, which means Jung will be working all night and won't be able to visit his wife and newborn in the hospital right away. So Jung meets with his editor to discuss the changes and sees an interesting debate on TV. He then went to see his partner Jung, but he's not on his desk. Instead, he finds a suspicious-looking calling card. Then Jung suddenly appeared and snatched the card from Jung. He's acting really anxious and begged Jung to finish the edit by himself tonight since he'll need to see his wife urgently. Jung wife So-hyun recently gave birth, but the baby is in intensive care. She joined the other mothers in visiting their babies, but was surprised when an angel appeared before her baby to deliver a decree. Her baby will be hellbound in 3 days. She was devastated, but couldn't find any previous decrees involving babies in the New Truth website. It was already late at night when Jung finally finished. He couldn't get hold of his wife, but then he received a call from Jungwon's wife asking where he is. Realizing that Jungwon lied about his reason earlier, he remembered the card and begrudgingly drives to the fishing spot. But he got stopped by Arrowheads, who are now acting like state police, asking what his business here is. They learned he's a TV producer, so he lied and said he's out here to record environment footage. The gang accepted this reason and left him alone. Jung finds Jungwon by himself and tries to get him back home, but Jungwon confessed that he got the decree and begged him not to tell anyone, even his family, so they won't have to live in shame. The executors arrive shortly and drag Jungwon across the lake, where they tormented and incinerated him, and throwing his remains near Jung. He's still in shock when a group of people arrived and start collecting what's left of Jungwon. Jung recognized one of the leaders from the TV show earlier. Attorney Min was also present, having survived with the scars to show. They decide to trust Jung for now but monitor his movements. Apparently, SoDo loans protect hellbound individuals by collecting their remains and making up a story regarding their disappearance. Jung wakes up the next day and hurriedly visits his wife, where she shows him the footage. So-hyun is inconsolable, but Jung assured her that he'll look into it. Meanwhile, the police and the New Truth are scouring the lake for any signs of the sinner but couldn't find anything. But before they leave, Deacon Ug finds the calling card. The police reported that they found Jungwon's car near a port, and they pieced together a story where he owed loan sharks a lot of money, and he just stowed away on a ship to escape them. But Deacon Ug isn't convinced. He got called out to another place where another person received a decree. While the New Truth deacons pressure the guy, Ug found another calling card, and this time it's from SoDo Laundry. Jung is feeling the burden of the news earlier and looks up SoDo. Apparently, SoDo is a sacred area in the olden times where fugitives escape to evade arrest. He went to see his editor again and asks for the man's contact details, and one of his agents noting the action. Jung visited Hyungjun's university, where he was apprehended, and everything was explained to him. That they have people everywhere monitoring the New Truth website and figuring out which ones received a decree. They knew that the demonstrations are random, and that former chairman Jung framed it as God's will to give it meaning. Then they approach them and offer to make them disappear. Jung shows him the video of his baby's decree. At the New Truth headquarters, Chairman Kim has set the stage for the man's demonstration. He condemns the man for not confessing his sins in public and got more satisfaction when he sees the man's family walk in. Kim has truly used religion to his advantage and turned it into this twisted show business. The man begs and tells his family that he didn't commit any sin, but that matters very little to the executors. They went on to do their business as everyone looks on, and the chairman is very pleased with the jump in viewers' ratings. Afterwards, Kim didn't miss a chance to make another showy preach for the audience. Ug called for a meeting to discuss what he found out. In an earlier interview with the man, he said that he was approached by attorney Min to arrange for his disappearance, but he didn't accept. Chairman Kim seems shaken by this revelation that Min was still alive. He orders Ug to round up the SoDo people. UG decided to use the Arrowheads for this purpose. They figured out the location of one of the SoDo team's members and proceed to beat the information out of him. UG was listening close by, learns of the location of Professor Hyungjun, and leaves the scene. Meanwhile, the professor was telling Youngjae that his baby is innocent, and this can be considered like a natural disaster similar to earthquakes or tsunamis. He takes Youngjae to see Min, where she blatantly proposed to let them globally broadcast his baby's demonstration, since doing so will abolish the new truth's hold on the public, since they have no concept of original sin, and his baby's sacrifice will save millions and bring things back the way they were. Of course, Youngjae violently rejected this. On their way out, Hyungjun tells him that his daughter also received a decree. There was nothing he could do to help her. Rather than thinking of it as an act of judgment, he would think of it as an accident. On his way home, Hyungjun was attacked by the Arrowheads, who took him to one of their locations. There, they got more information from his car's GPS, and afterwards they mercilessly burned him and his friend. Then the Arrowheads headed to Min's HQ, but she's no longer the helpless woman as before, and she fights her way out of there. Next day, the Arrowheads displayed the corpses at the university and even made a statement online claiming responsibility for it. Min calls Youngjae to know what his decision is, but it seems that his wife has other ideas. Sohyun goes ahead and makes the appointment while Youngjae frantically tries to reach her. She lets him know that she wanted to ask the new truth why their baby received a decree. Youngjae immediately calls Min and races towards the new truth headquarters. He tried again to reach his wife, but she wouldn't respond. It was none other than Deacon UG who met up with Sohyun. She showed him the video and asked why if this sort of decree happened before to a baby. UG replied that he'll ask his superiors and excused himself, but also giving instructions to reception to not let the mother leave. He wasted no time in showing the footage to Chairman Kim, and they all agree that this evidence would bring down their organization. Youngjae and Min finally arrive at the new truth base, and they manage to create a diversion in order to infiltrate the building. The deacons forcefully separate Sohyun and her baby, but as they take them away, Youngjae shows up. Min started beating the crap out of the deacons while Sohyun goes after her baby. After getting the baby back, they make a quick retreat. Chairman Kim was furious at UG for letting them escape. He gave them permission to use the Arrowheads to get them back by any means necessary. Meanwhile, the family is moved to a safe house of someone who also received a decree, recommended by Min's team. Once they settled in, Min again stressed the importance of their baby's sacrifice in saving the world. Their host Lee Dong-wook tells them that he used to be a devout new truth follower and followed everything by the book, so he doesn't understand why he's hellbound. But the baby is living proof that he didn't do anything wrong. Sohyun reluctantly agrees with broadcasting the demonstration. He then offered to help Min in broadcasting the footage since he had prior experience in live streaming. After Min streams her message, Chairman Kim is in crisis mode. He asks his team for solutions, but none of them can come up with one. Today is the baby's demonstration. Min is already planning the location and a safe house for the couple afterwards. Lee excuses himself to get some groceries, all the while remembering the day he received his decree. Lee calls Chairman Kim and tells him that he has the baby. He also tells him that his appointed time is actually 5 minutes after the baby's time, and asks them what it means. Kim humors Lee and tells him that God probably made a mistake with the baby's decree and tried to cover it up using Lee's demonstration. Lee is all too happy in taking in this delusion that his death is part of God's plan. But he got mad when they asked his location and instead leaves them a trail to follow at least. The new truth eventually traces Lee's location through their undercover Arrowhead contacts in the telecommunications industry and mobilize their whole army. Min's team arrives to take the couple away, but Lee went back to his old ways. Youngjae comes down to investigate and finds Lee waiting for him. Lee tells him that his death finally has meaning and purpose, to cover up God's mistake, since if he's with the baby and with both their demonstrations so close together, the people won't know which one was punished. He then attacks Youngjae, but he managed to escape, but he caught up to him anyway. Lee rushes back to the house, but Min was ready for him and managed to subdue him long enough for So-hyun to escape. With a crowd gathering, So-hyun tells them all to bear witness to her baby's demonstration. The police, also working for the new truth, picks up on the stream and alerts Yoo-ji, and they head to the location. Min also finished up with Lee and goes out to see So-hyun. And just in time, the air cracked with the executors' arrival. But as the executors charge in, So-hyun's motherly instinct suddenly clicked and she saves her baby instead. Young-jae wakes up and rushes out to help his wife. Min also pitched in with what she can. Young-jae and So-hyun fought valiantly for their child. But in the end, love is all that they had to give. Yet that love was more than enough for their child to survive. Lee was now confused about his purpose and decides to finish God's will. Min was able to stop him at the last second. He gets away and rushes towards the baby, but this time it was the executors who stopped him. Min carefully picks up the child amongst the crowd of onlookers. The new truth finally arrives, but the people don't let them pass. It looks like their authority is already weakening. An old man calls them all crooks and liars, and Yoo-ji loses his cool and starts beating up the old man. The police had no choice but to arrest Yoo-ji, but that doesn't stop him from spouting his new truth nonsense. Min escapes with So-hyun and Young-jae's child. She takes the nearest taxi where the driver recognized her and helps her get away from police. The next day, however, something mysterious is happening. With Season 2 due for release this 2024, what do you think will happen to society now that the Hellbounds have revived? What will happen to the new truth now that ex-chairman Jung has returned? What have they brought back with them from hell? And what mysteries awaits the only known survivor of the executor's decree? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, please like and subscribe if you liked this video. Thank you and see you again soon.